What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Crew 2. And well, as y'all know, it is Wednesday, which means the new summit is now live here on the game. What's kind of insane is this is actually the last summit here until Season 9, which obviously this is going to be like the last season here on the Crew 2. It really is insane how fast time goes, but Motorfest is obviously going to be incredible. But if you guys are looking to get this car, though, I would definitely log on and try to do this summit because at least you can transfer it over. I would honestly be very surprised if they happen to bring this summit back in Motorfest, mainly because they're most likely doing this to give players a chance to actually get these cars, but the Carrera GT Green Flash Edition is still going to remain one of my favorite hypercars in the Crew 2, and that's most likely going to move over to Motorfest as well, because for one, guys, this Porsche looks insane. I also do believe it's going to be heavily based off the Gembala Edition, but my goodness, I would definitely recommend going after this vehicle. Then in gold, though, we have the Berlinetta, so this is also a great chance to get cars you guys might not own, similar to like the KTM 450 there in silver as well. So if you guys are newer to the game as well, I would recommend jumping on and at least going after that Ferrari and or that KTM. That way you can actually have more vehicles you won't have to purchase, at least in Motorfest, which I would say that's probably one of the best things ever, the fact that you can transfer. I really do feel like a lot of players are going to be grinding hard, especially trying to get as many cars as they can, like doing all the stories and or hobbies and stuff like that as well. So I really do recommend going after these cars, especially the Green Flash if you can. This is definitely one of the coolest looking hypercars, and not only does it look good, it also has some pretty insane performance. So moving over to the summit here, starting off with the three skills. So the first one's going to be an escape, and for this one I did actually use the Koenigsegg Regera. To be honest, I would probably say you guys could use any hypercar of your choice, but I would also recommend having something like Muddy on there as well because it does help your speed off-road. And then once you guys do get on the road, obviously you have to go as fast as you can. So I most likely could have went a bit farther if I actually turned right toward the end, but to be honest, I was probably aiming for like 150k, so I really did not see a point of going higher. But luckily, many of these hypercars can easily do this one. But moving over to the next skill now, guys, is going to be a speed trap. So for this one, I know it's probably going to be shocking. The Corvette Stingray is going to probably be the most used vehicle, mainly because it really is going to be like the best drag car in the game. But if you guys do want to get like 440 plus miles an hour, do keep in mind you're most likely going to have to slipstream someone to at least get that crazy speed. I got around like 399 miles an hour solo with a nitrochemist set, so at least you can get yourself well over 120k, especially solo. But moving over to the last skill here is going to be a low altitude, which I really do feel like these are by far going to be the easiest skills to do, and I really do feel like a lot of players most likely don't care too much for these. Luckily, guys, they are going to be insanely easy. As long as you do have a score breaker set, you're most likely good enough to get well over 150k. But besides all that, guys, that's going to be the three main events in this, at least when it comes to using your own vehicle. Every single event in this summit, you will actually have to use a forced vehicle in this. I really do feel like it's going to make this very interesting. Now, one of the biggest tips I have for this, though, is if you guys are wondering what can I do to help myself a bit on this, the biggest thing, guys, is make sure all of your points are actually on a lot of these things like drag bump and or frenetic and or pure and or extra pump. I would recommend heading over into your icon points and doing that because it does actually help a bit, especially keeping your speed up because a lot of the vehicles are obviously going to be base level, so they're most likely going to be insanely slow. And not only that, though, they're also going to have base settings on them as well, so you can't tweak them. I did notice a lot of the vehicles in this, though, are luckily not all that bad. For example, the Alpha GP race here, you actually have to use the RB14, which I love this car, and luckily being a base leveled vehicle, it actually did pretty decent. I would also say a lot of the scoring on this summit's also going to be insanely close, so if you guys actually do want this car, you're most likely going to have to try hard slightly. And on this street race, you actually have to use the Berlinetta, which surprisingly isn't all that bad, though. Of course, it's obviously going to have no pro settings, and if you guys are running manual, I would also recommend to do that because I do think it's better than automatic. You can actually downshift in many of these races to at least keep your speed up. I would probably say if you don't, it's most likely going to be a tad more difficult. And then moving over to the rally rate event, you actually have to use the KTM 450 rally. So if you're thinking about buying this, I guess this is going to be like a test drive for this vehicle, similar to like the Porsche down here. To be honest, I would say the bike's not going to be fast in any way, and you're obviously going to be battling your nitrous the entire time with this one. I would also recommend guys putting a lot of your points on ventilated. If you are lower leveled, I would recommend going through some of them and or trying to change them around. I actually do think ventilated by far is going to be insanely helpful because of the jumping. You really do get a lot of nitrous that way, especially in this event. But moving over to the Hypercar event, you obviously get to use the Porsche Green Flash Edition, and this is going to be the big land, so it's obviously going to be like an open race. I would say a lot of people are most likely going to try to slipstream, but in this event though, I do want to mention the fact that the Porsche was only doing around 250 or so miles per hour, so if you were trying to jump into this with like 3 other people, you're most likely not going to be that much faster. I would probably say the biggest thing is keeping your speed up, especially around the corners. Besides that though, this event is going to be insanely straightforward. Then we also have the Über Dam. This is also going to be one of my favorite races. Also, if you guys are grinding the boats out, this is by far going to be my favorite event to do. Not only is it easier to beat the AI, it's also going to be an insanely fast race around 1 minute and 20 seconds. Obviously, the boat here is going to be like 106, so it's basically a base level boat, so it's going to be well over 140. And then moving over to the final event, you guys will have to use a hypercar in a street race. I really do enjoy these mixed events because they are insanely fun to do, and luckily you also get to use the lovely Bugatti Divo on this one, which is going to make it that much better. Obviously the car is going to be base level, plus it has no pro settings on it, so it's most likely not going to handle like your Bugatti Divo, but at least it is going to do insanely well, plus there is a lot of turns. I would also recommend being in manual because at least you can get a bit more power out of those corners. I also do feel like this is going to be insanely helpful in this summit in general, but overall guys, I do feel like this summit is going to be pretty intense because of this. If you guys have any questions at all, definitely let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more insight.